welcome back to the Canadian Gun Vault. We have with us here Black Powder Dave. Thank you for joining us. All right, and a K31 Swiss-made battle rifle. Dave, what can you tell us about this gun?
The K31. This is the Swiss standard issue weapon for the Army and their civilian male population who had mandatory military service. And in the event of an invasion, they would all be called to active duty within a day to protect their land. Awesome idea for the Swiss. I know they've always maintained neutrality and never really been in a war, but at least if one ever showed up, they're going to be prepared.
Yeah, and you know, if you've ever had an opportunity, folks, to fire this rifle, prepared they would be. This is, in fact, one of the most incredible bolt-action rifles I've ever come across. Just going over it very quickly, operates a little bit different than your standard bolt-action rifle. If you look at this large charging handle here that's shaped like a bit of a barrel, you wrap your hands on that, you're literally pulling straight backwards and forwards to charge and load this gun. I mean, it is an incredibly quick action. It's easy to use, and if you look at it very closely, as you begin to move the charging handle rearward, you can actually see the lugs twisting and the entire bolt assembly turning, and it comes away from the action, right, and you're just sliding it back forward and charging another round in the chamber, and you're good to go again. And it is firing a very powerful 7.5 by 55 cartridge, which I understand are all match grade.
Match grade ammo.
You know, the idea of a surplus ammo being match grade is incredible, but you've got that cartridge there that's about as powerful as a 308, somewhere in the neighborhood of 308 or 30-06 in that power band range. Just an incredible piece, a very strong action, and I understand that the gun that came before this was designed a little bit differently, but looks a lot the same.
The K11, which was called the Schmidt Rubin, it actually had the locking lugs in the rear of the receiver, whereas this has some up front where they belong, much stronger.
Yeah, you know, I could see how that would have an impact on the structural integrity, having them in the front as opposed to the rear. And speaking of which, I'm going to depress this lever here just to show you how easily this gun comes apart. You depress this lever right here, and the entire bolt assembly comes out. And what a bolt assembly it is! If you look closely at this, folks, this is one giant piece of solidly machined metal with enormous locking lugs. I mean, this rifle is definitely made to fire that powerful round, and what an accurate piece too. I mean,
it's very accurate.
It's straight out of the box. It almost feels like a match grade rifle. You're kind of limited by the sights in terms of you know what you're able to do with it with the open sight type system. But I really got the feeling when I was shooting this thing that if I could see it, I could hit it. Right?
Pretty near.
Yeah, just incredible.
That brings up a side note on this. I read on a story about a German contingent that went to Switzerland, and the Swiss Army was on parade, and the German officer was inspecting them when he walked up to a Swiss sergeant and he said, "Our army's twice as big as yours. What would you do if we attacked?" And the Swiss sergeant looked at him, thought about it for a second, and said, "Well, I guess we'd all have to fire rifles twice." And that's the attitude that they had. They could take on anybody.
Yeah, well, this rifle would certainly inspire a lot of confidence, and I could see why. It's well made. There's a Swiss quality seen throughout this entire piece. You know, looking at it, even this safety, when you at a glance, it looks like it might be the hammer, but in fact, it's made for glove fingers, and you actually just pull and twist, and that locks this gun up and prevents it from being used. I mean, it is an incredible rifle. Is very powerful, very accurate, and comes with a host of things that make it a very desirable collectible. I understand that there are personal items that can be found under most of the surplus stocks.
Yep, the civilian who it would have been issued to, normally you would find a waterproof card under there with their name and address. Unfortunately, this one did not have it. Little disappointing, but the gun is good enough that I can overlook that small feature.
You know what? You got ripped off.
I did a little bit.
And that brings me to my next question. What kind of investment are you looking at in terms of monetary?
When I got this, there were very few people had them, and when I read about it, I went out of my way to find it, and I got it for $299. Currently, I've heard them going up $6+.
Yeah, you know what, folks, if you're looking to invest in a real collectible piece, a quality shooter, this is definitely it. But I haven't found anybody that's willing to part with it for less than $7,500, which is a real disappointment that I didn't get on it a little bit faster. But again, you know what, a wonderful piece, definitely something that you should look into, folks, if you're considering the possibility of purchasing yourself a World War II vintage rifle. And again, thank you, Black Powder Dave, for coming out. We always love having you. Always a pleasure.
Pleasure to be here.
All right, and thank you again for watching, and as always, have a great night.